Just to make sure, maybe I could look you
Maybe, but I do have a 10:30 appointment, so.
Okay, we definitely got that one.
Okay, we finished Parakaf Aleph. And accomplished this Yesod, and all based on the way we're learning on a deeper Yesod. So the Yesod that's written here, is, in my words, the idea of Haber Lishma. Actually, in the words of the Vilna Gaon, the idea of Haber Lishma, that there is such a thing as doing the Ratzon Hashem, which is even different than what it says in the Torah. That's a magnificent and dangerous yesod, right? Meaning, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they did things that don't seem to be, that are against what's written in the Torah. Yaakov married two sisters. It's against what's written in the Torah. Yet we're told Yaakov Avinu kept the Torah. So not our Torah. Keep our Torah. He must have been keeping something else. So what was he keeping? He was keeping what he understood himself is the Ratzon Hashem. That's what Yaakov Avinu did. So he kept the Torah, meaning you have to say that there was like two Torahs, if you will. There was the Torah of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Torah Avos, which came to them through Nevuah. And their Nevuah was obviously on a very high level, but it was a level like having to do with what is the way to fix the Olamus Elyonim at this time. So to keep with our example, Yaakov Avinu understood that the right thing for him to do is to marry Rachel, Leah, and create 12 Shvatim b'Yisrael. We would never do such a thing. You create 3,000 Shvatim, you're not going to marry your two sisters together. It says in the Torah you can't do it. But this was quite a mountain Torah. I just want to say something very, I don't know if I said this or not, but I just want to put it in very succinct words. Like all the questions that are always asked about how did Yaakov do this, and how did Abraham give Basar B'Cholav, and all the different questions that are asked on the others, how did they do these things if it was connected to Torah? The one radical answer is that they weren't Jewish. We're Jewish. They weren't Jewish. They were Avos. From them came out Jews. Jews are people that keep the Torah. They weren't Jews. There was no Torah. There was no. When people speak about Avraham Avinu as the first Jew, is that really correct? We became Jewish when we went out of Mitzrayim. We were called Bnei Yisrael. Hayitzu Bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. We went to the Torah. We became a nation of Jews. Jewish is a nation. It's not a madrega. Wow, Jewish. A non-Jew come to the highest madrega. He's not a Jew. Chasidei u'mos ha'olam. The Avos weren't Jewish, so there's no question. How did he marry two sisters? Because, first of all, who said there was any such a thing as marriage? Who said there was any such a thing as sisters? You see that by Har Sinai, as soon as they heard the Torah, when we heard the Torah, Avosenu heard the Torah, so the Torah reports, the Chumash reports, that Hayaboichel l'mishpachosav, everybody started crying. Why were they crying? L'mishpachosav. What do you mean, I have to divorce my wife who's my sister? What do you say here? So they were all crying, like, what do you mean? I'm having this wonderful marriage with my daughter. I mean, it sounds terrible, but that's in Mitzrayim apparently. They were married to their sisters, but there was no such thing, even by the highest madrega. Amram, Gadol Hadar Hayirash, he says he was married to his aunt, Yocheved, which is Usher. We need to understand that all the questions of how did Yitzchak eat from the shechita of Esav, Because he wasn't Jewish. You're allowed to eat from the shechita of Esav if you're not Jewish. What I'm saying is that this is. I'm not saying that they were chas v'sholom about a lower madrega. They're much higher madrega, but it was a different madrega where they were using where they had a connection with the Rebbeinu Shalom, and they understood that there that they were the three avos that were being maimed the world and being maimed the Bnei Yisrael who are going to be maimed the world, and they understood clearly what they needed to do. They lived in a tkufa. Why wasn't the Torah given to them already? Because if the Torah was given to them, why should I wait till Har Sinai to give the Torah? Why didn't he give it to Avraham Avinu? Good man. Why didn't he give the Torah? The answer is, if he would have given Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the Torah, there would have been no Klal Yisrael. They had a different, not just a different license, a different tafkid. The world was at a different stage of development. You could say, why wasn't the Torah given to Malachim? A different tafkid. The Torah was given to us. For us, Torah is the right thing. They were like Malachim. They were like, it was a whole different story. Adam, Chava, did they keep the Torah? Yes, of course, the Torah. It's interesting how Istako Baraiso Bara Alba is the pshat that Hashem looked to the Torah and created the world. So everyone says, well, you can't change it. So how did Yaakov marry two sisters? Okay, Istako Baraiso Bara Alba, at the time of development where the Torah was given, that's when we can't marry two sisters. It's very significant. It's not subtle what I'm saying. It's very significant because you see that it's to me there are svarim written on why the Avos did this and why they did that, and the whole question doesn't begin. The whole thing. They were in a different place. They were in a different purpose. Even Moshe Rabbeinu didn't keep the Torah until it was given. Then he kept the Torah. So he didn't keep the Torah. Yeah. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu mal his son? Why should he? Yeah. Why should he give a milah to his son? So maybe, how did he marry Tzipora? how did he get involved with Yisro? This was all before Mount Torah. Yeah.
I was going to say that maybe where the conflict lies is the expression of what a mitzvah is and what the ultimate design of what a mitzvah is supposed to achieve. Because we see by Yaakov Avinu with the Michaelis that's tefillin. Like how's that kasha to fit?
You were talking about this yesterday, were you?
No.
Somebody was talking. No, it's so. But what you're saying is spot on. Like, what is a mitzvah supposed to achieve? What would Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov supposed to achieve? Not mitzvahs. It's our job. We're in a different place. If we would be in the place of Avraham, we'd have one job. If we would be goyim, we would have one job. If we would be, now that we are the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, who received the Torah at Har Sinai. That's who we are. So now we have a different job. Our job is a different job. So this is it's more than just, well, now the Torah was given. It's a paradigm shift in the mandate of the Jewish people, which began at Har Sinai, not even in Mitzrayim before. Not even in Mitzrayim before. They married wrong. They did everything wrong. They didn't do bris milah with all of the Avraham bris milah and everything else. Did they do bris milah? No. The Chazal explained to us how before they brought the first carbon Pesach, there was a mass bris milah going on. Thousands and thousands and thousands of bris milahs were taking place. Why? Because this mitzvah they did get. They finally got a mitzvah of oral lo yechal boy, that an oral is not allowed to eat. And so the bris karav, you know what? Oral was just invented at that moment for Bnei Yisrael. Oral lo yechal boy, if you're an oral, you can't eat the Korban Pesach. It was a miraculous thing because there must have been, let's say a million people that needed a bris. Everybody from bar mitzvah to zaken who's going to partake in a Korban Pesach. At least a million, maybe more than a million people in Mitzrayim, and they all had to get a bris pretty much in one day. And who could do the bris? Himol Timol, you can only do the bris if you had a bris. So who did the bris? I guess Moshe did a bris. Chazal say Aaron had a bris. There was a couple of Bali bris. A couple of people. They were standing. I don't want to say anything wrong. It looked like empire, you know. I mean, how do you do somebody brisim, you know? So somebody tried to explain to me once that, well, you know, like once you do a bris, on, let's say you do a bris on 10 people, now those 10 people can do a bris, so it becomes like an Amway project, like like everyone's doing, okay, now you can do a bris. But these people were Kalika people, I mean, they just had a bris, they just had a bris that minute. And all of a sudden they're doing more bris. I mean, any way you look at it, this whole thing was like so ridiculous. But my point is, they didn't have a bris. We were Jews without a bris. Why? Because we weren't Jewish.
So do we
the whole idea of bris, what does bris mean, David? What does bris mean? We're Bali bris. We're part of the covenant. We were not part of the covenant. All of everything you see about Yetzias Mitzrayim is Vayizaku, that they're Zaku went up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are the Bnei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. I can make a nation out of these people. That's all. And this is extremely important in understanding Yiddishkeit. I'm not telling you a word now. This is extremely important in understanding Yiddishkeit. What do you want to say? I'm sorry.
I think, did Yaakov and his children have a bris? I was assuming that Mitzrayim didn't have a bris because of the lack of
assimilation.
Yeah, but
And Yosef says he revealed himself to his brothers.
Okay, so it could be the Bnei Yaakov Babish had a bris.
Well, we're saying,
but at the same time, Dinah married Shimon.
but we're saying they had
with the
Torah.
bris. Dinah married Shimon. That's what Chazal say.
But the Rav said that really it's like two Torahs. They did have a Torah. It's not like they became Jewish and got the Torah. They had some Torah. Otherwise, why would we be talking about Avera Lishma? There must be Avera to something unless there was. Right,
meaning they had, very good, so let's just define that. They had, as I understand it, a tradition. Giranasha, a tradition of the Rambam says this actually, a tradition of the evolution of mitzvos as they happen. So let's say we became a good example. Giranasha, Mila. You see, when we do a Mila, you got to be careful if you're asked to speak at a bris. We do a Mila. We're not doing a Mila because Avraham Avinu did a Mila. We're doing a Mila because the Torah it says you have to do a Mila. Interesting history to this is that Avraham Avinu did a Mila. So we could talk about Mila. It's beautiful if the bris comes out of Parshas Lech Lecha. It's very nice. Vayera. It works very nicely with the convenience of Vertelach. But that's not why we're doing a bris. We're doing a bris because we're Jews, and Jews do a bris. And this we learned at Har Sinai. Did we do a bris before? L'famim came, l'famim lo. There was a tradition from Avraham Avinu. There was a tradition about Kinan Nosha. There were certain traditions about Shabbos. But this was not Torah. The Christians have traditions. What we did have, but Sivoy apparently, was the Zayin Mitzvahs Bnei Noach.
So what was Shem V'Aver for?
Kabbalah. Kabbalah. And why do I say Kabbalah? Because what they were learning, and this brings us right to the point of Rabbi Volozhin, so sharp, that what they were doing was one thing. They were Masakein Olamais El Yonim. And Shem V'Aver was teaching them how. Rivka, why do I have what is going on here with Yaakov and Esau that I'm about to give birth to? Oh, you're being miyaseh to a people. Like Yaakov Avinu married two sisters. So Rivka, you're being miyaseh to people. A people somehow needs a Yaakov and an Esau. Go understand. It needs a Yaakov and an Esau. There's something going on here, but these are divrei Yesod. It's Yesod. It's the preamble to, not just preamble to the Torah, and so much of the Torah you'll see in the Avos, but Sefer Bereshis was the Sefer where they came to these things through Nevuah. And here, let's make this an underlinable sentence. That in Sefer Bereshis they came to these things through Nevuah. In Sefer Shmois, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim, we came to these things through Torah, through Maimon Har Sinai, not through Nevuah. The minute there was Har Sinai, we're doing a bris because of Sinai. We're not doing a bris because of Avraham Avinu. In fact, I don't even know if the people that did a bris before Matan Torah, if it was even called a bris. It was probably called a milah, because of what bris did they enter into? Maybe. We say Labris Shalav Avinu. That finally came out at Har Sinai. Bris Shalav Avinu. You see a guy, Bnei Avraham, that does a bris milah, not allowed. Not allowed to do it. Okay, the bris Shalav Avinu as it worked out. So this is Parak Chaf Aleph. What I just said is a synopsis of Parak Chaf. and a Hakdama to Perek Chaf Aleph, Perek Chaf Beis rather, Chaf Aleph and Chaf Beis. Says Perek Chaf Beis. Look inside. Let's look a little bit inside. Umishaba Moshe, from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, Mishaba Moshe v'hayrida la'aretz. He came and he took all of this and he brought it down to earth. Loi bashamayim he. It's no longer bashamayim, meaning that when Avraham did it, Yitzchak did it, and Yaakov did it, it was bashamayim. Did you know this? We say Loi bashamayim he. That's from Matan Torah. What does it mean Loi bashamayim? We think it means that, okay, somebody has a nevuah, they can't paskin in Torah, you can't paskin up in nevuah. It does mean that, but it means something different. That Loi bashamayim he means that there was a paradigm shift of Matan Torah at Har Sinai, where the Torah was no longer bashamayim. And if it would be bashamayim, the Torah says, I have to maybe go after it to get it. But it's no longer bashamayim. In the case of Yaakov Avinu, it was bashamayim, and he was able to access something from shamayim. To us, Loi bashamayim he. Ulaval Musar Haskel. Ulaval Yischachem Ha'adam Hagadol. He says, don't get too smart, even if you're an Adam Gadol. Shasagasai Meruba, and you have huge hasagas. You really see a lot. Loimar, and you may say, Anoichi Haroya Hasoid V'tamei HaMitzvahs B'koichos V'olamais El Yonim. Look, I see. Why am I doing this Avera? Why am I doing this Haber? Because I really see, I'm a gadol, and I see Ruach HaKodesh, I see what's going on in Shemayim, and I know if I do this Avera, it's really going to make a difference in the whole world. Now the Torah has provisions for that. The Torah says that you can be Machal Shabbos if it's for Pikuach Nefesh. The Torah has such provisions. But I'm seeing something that's not in the Torah. It's not in the Gedarim of the Torah. I know that if I eat some treif right now, it's going to be Gevaldik. Or if I hug this woman, it'll be Gevaldik. I don't mean for me. I mean, it'll be do something for the world. I'm creating a neshama. Okay, but Rabbi, there's a Torah. What about the Torah? What are you going to do about the Torah? So, we're not talking about a cotton here. We're not talking about a baltaiva. We're talking about Adam Gadol. Shasagasei Meruba. His hasaga is very, very big. And he says, Anoichi Haraya Soid V'Tami HaMitzvahs. I understand the reasoning behind the mitzvahs. B'koichos V'Elomas El Yonim, and I understand what's going on in the highest world. Sheroyali L'fi Sherish Nishmasei. I understand what was Niskala to me, I understand. Olami V'mi L'fi Sharshai, or I can understand what's the right thing for you or the right thing for you. Laver Chas V'Shalom Aleza Mitzvah, and therefore I'm ready to violate a mitzvah, or litchayshum prat, miprate hamitzvah, hamaisa, or I just don't do it the same way. Lasoisa b'migras, I do a little bit less. Af diktok echad b'divrei, I even take away a derabonon. Or l'shano zmano chas v'shalom, or I change the zman. Of course, he was referring here to the early Hasidim that didn't pay attention to zman tefillah and zman kriya shema. So to him. They would explain it. They would write essays and books about why they're not keeping Zman Kriya Shema. But the Torah says you have to keep Zman Kriya Shema. So here's the problem. But this is not just like a dry versus Kabbalistic. What he's saying is that the paradigm shift happened already. That license is gone. The license is gone. Look, Shapsai Tzvi. What did he do? Big Makubal, this. He ate chaylev. He said, I'm doing a tikkun in the chaylev. I understand chaylev. It was Yadua that he ate chaylev. He didn't keep zmanim. Once you mess, then you're putting yourself in a koydem matan Torah matzav instead of an acher matan Torah matzav, and it could be right, but it can't be right. And it can't be because it's Jews are not allowed to do those kind of things. Yashka, what did he do? This. It's exactly what he did. This is not so important. That's not so important. This is very important. The main thing is to love each other. Beautiful things. You could read it reads like a Mesillas Yesharim part of it. It's beautiful, but it's not Torah, because how could it be Torah if you're being Megareya, lo yisigra mimenu? Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm telling you it is lo yisosif alav lo yisigra mimenu. Don't add, don't subtract, don't multiply by 6, don't divide by 3. When I'm telling you, this is what you need to do. This is your instructions.
What's practically Ma'aseh?
I take away some of the details of it, meaning I say, look, I got the main idea with tefillin, but I'm not just like, I don't have to be so careful that these 4 parshias are in there. I'll put in different parshias, which are more relevant to my Shurish HaNeshama. Putting on tefillin. So even if you keep the tzura of the mitzvah, but you don't keep the detail of the mitzvah. Question is, by the way, why? I mean, we're saying something very important here, but I haven't really explained why. Like, what happens at Har Sinai that disallows us to look any longer at the shurish of it or the siba, even if I know it, even if I'm a gadol and I know it, I'm not allowed to do that. Why? What happened at Har Sinai? What was the change exactly?
I don't understand how this is.
What is that?
So how do you understand the what?
It's a big plea that he used toilet the Moshe, not in the Kodesh Baruch Hu, doesn't call it not in Torah.
In other words, but okay, like Vashteta, like once Moshe Rabbeinu came along, and what Moshe Rabbeinu did was just like a magnificent thing. In other words, he took something that was accessible to Yaakov, to Abraham, he was accessible to these, and Hirida la'aretz. So now it's part of the Aretz, right?
It's exactly what we started this whole Indian with, Rabbi. Your Rishus is in the Makam Hatzibui, is Asiya. That's your Rishus. Now you have a Tzibui. How to have a Hanhaga in the Asiya. Before that, you could go upstairs and, change light bulbs up there, what are you going to do up there? But now it's different. It's a different Rishus.
I was reading that Ben Gurion, I read once. So he wanted to have, there was Ben Gurion, and then there was the Tzahal, or whatever it was called exactly at that time. And he wanted to have the experience or the schus of being a day in the army. He was a prime minister. He was never in the army. He wanted to have a day of being in the army. So he gets into a uniform, and he gets a gun, and he does the whole thing, and he's in the army, and he walks out of the formation that they were walking. So the sergeant or whatever it was that was there, hey, you, back in or you're in trouble. Hello, I'm the prime minister. No. Right now you're not the prime minister. Right now you're in the army now. Right? So like such an interesting thing, but it reminded me when I read that of the famous story of we're talking about the famous story of Bill Clinton. He was the president of the United States, believe it or not. So he a lot of unbelievable presidents in the United States, but he had a therapist. It's a real story. He writes about it in his biography. He had a therapist, so he went to this therapist. He had a lot on his head, right? As president of the United States. So he went to the therapist and was talking, and they're talking, and was talking, and after 40 minutes, the therapist said, "Okay, sir, I think our time is up now." And so he said, "Well, I just want to talk about one more thing." 40 minutes. Our sessions are 40 minutes, So he says, "But I'm the president of the United States." He says, "Right now, you're Bill." So like there's there's this idea of olam asiyah. Like you need to know. Makiris makoimoi means you need to know your makom. So if you lived in the time of the Avos, you lived in the time of the Avos. That's if you were Avram Avinu, so then you had a different job. Then you're maybe like the Prime Minister Lahavdil. You're in a different story. But right now, after Mount Torah, we're in this world of Asiyah, which is a very good place to be, by the way. It's not like we're doing less than Avram Avinu did. We're possibly doing more than Avram Avinu did. But Moshe. But so Moshe came, and now the Torah is no longer in the Olam Yonim for access. The Torah now is here. This is where it is, and this is the Torah. What was before? It's not Torah. What's after if somebody changed something? It's not Torah. I'll tell you something even a bigger chiddush. Just give me a second. I saw once a medrash, it's Tanchuma. Medrash says that you see in Tehillim there are Yud Aleph Mizmorim She'amar Moshe Rabbeinu Tefillah LaMoshe Ish Elokim, etc. There's 11 such Tehillims, Kapitel Tehillim that Moshe Rabbeinu said. So the Medrash says so. Haloi Torah. If Moshe Rabbeinu said it, it's the Torah. What's it doing in Tehillim? Make it part of addendum to the Chumash. Moshe Rabbeinu. We have it. Let's say you'd find today, like David HaMelech found, like a new thing that Moshe Rabbeinu said. Not a new thing that Chas v'Shalom some Shabtai Tzvi said. A new thing Moshe Rabbeinu said, authentic, clear. You found it in a cave and everything. Like let's say you'd find this. You go to Sinai and you find something that Moshe Rabbeinu. This is not Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu, he said before Torah, after Torah is not Torah. It doesn't make any difference. Now, it may be, this is what the Medrash says, Divrei Nevuah Haim, Loi Divrei Torah Haim. They're Divrei Nevuah, but it's not Divrei Torah. These Tefillah LaMoshe, you're reading Divrei Nevuah. But they're from a different time. You can't call it Torah. Torah is Torah, that's all. You can't call it Torah. This relatively simple understanding, I think, is the mess up of most of history. In other words, like most of those that have left the Torah, whether they be Christians, whether they be Reformed, or whatever they are, have always had a better idea. They're not saying, it's not like they're saying necessarily, there's a bunch of bunk. I'm not talking about atheists, though. I'm talking about people that felt they had a better idea. Mendelssohn felt he had a better idea, had a better derech. So, and why can't Moshe Rabbeinu was machadish things? So Yaakov Avinu was machadish things. Why can't I be machadish things? So here we have to understand this, that you can't. Look, this is not something which is negotiable. This now has become, you're in the army now. We still don't understand why exactly that is, but we're getting closer. But Moshe, I read the law.
But we also have a Ver Lishma after the Torah.
No.
But Esther is not a Ver Lishma.
So he says, the divine says, I read it to you, Lahatzalas Klal Yisrael. You can't learn from it. Hatzalas Klal Yisrael. So there, Ver Lishma means, I'm talking not doing the Ratzon Hashem. I'm talking doing the wrong thing, and I'll burn in hell for it. But I'm going to do it because I want to save 1 million Jews. So that's the ultimate in altruism.
Could it be that Moshe is mentioned here because he was up there? So no one can claim that he had hasagas that were greater than Moshe, because Chazal constantly tell us that Moshe was up there with the Malachim.
It's hard to know what the comparison between Abraham and Moshe. Or Yaakov was also up there.
But he's
his husband climbing up and down the ladder.
He's saying an Adam Gadol can't come and say such and such.
Right.
So maybe because what you went somewhere that Moshe didn't go. He was up there. That's saying Moshe.
Right. I think he's saying half of it. He was up there and he was down here.
Right. He brought it. Yeah. So right. So you can't say like Mendelssohn that I went deeper because Moshe was.
How can he go deeper?
Right.
So okay, now you're saying a big thing, and I'm not sure if you're right. I'll tell you why. It's worth. I don't know if I understand it completely, honestly, but I just want to really understand as much as we can what happens with Matan Torah. Is this like just okay? We all became Yaakov Avinu's, or like okay, this is not going to work for a nation. We need to give this thing some rules here, traffic laws. Like it's not going to. We're going to have chaos, or where I believe, we were in a different place in the tahalich of the world. The Bria now is in a different place, and being that the Bria is in a different place. For this place, see, what's the emes pshat? If Noah would have been in the time of Avram, you see, we think superficially that what that means is that if Noah compared to Avram was a garnished. Noah would have been in the time of Avram, if Noah would have been in the time of Avram, he would have not had what to do, because Noah has one tachlis, Avram Avinu has another tachlis. What are you doing in the time of Avram? We're living where we're living, right? We're living in the time that we're living. You see, it's a
So how,
You see, I just want to say something like, even this, I don't want to say anything wrong, just a little bit, but, even this, that we go back to what would the Nefesh Hachaim have done? What would Rabbi Akiva Eiger have done? What would Abai and Rava have done? Yes and no. Because the Nefesh Hachaim is not living in Ramat Beit Shemesh. And even in the post-Matan Torah era, there's a different tachlis to Jews who live in different kufas at every time. You see, because it just seems to me, controversially, like everybody's now running from Eretz Yisrael to Europe, to pre-Churban Europe. Like they're running there. They're rebuilding the shuls. They're remodeling the streets and the Batei Knesios, and it goes way beyond like Reb Nachman. I mean, the whole rebuilding. So I went there. I went also at But when I walked out of there, I thought to myself, this is interesting. It's very interesting to go to Krakow and to be in the same shul that the Ramah David, and to think this is where our halacha created from. Interesting. But you want to know something? It's all over. Done. It's gone. It's a kever. There's the Mekubalim say that even by the Kvarim, the Neshamas came to Eretz Yisrael with us. As people come, the Neshamas come. It's over. Forget about it. It's done. It's history.
So what are they trying to do?
They're not coming to the shir. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's an obsession with their tafkid and trying to. Now, am I saying there's not what to learn from them? I learned everything from them my whole life. There's nothing but to learn from these gedolim and these tzaddikim and from the times of the Gemara. But it's a different. When the Amoraim came to Eretz Yisrael in the time of Rabbi Yochanan, Rish Lakish, that time. So Rabbi Yochanan gave them a bracha. You should forget all of the Torahs Bavel. Forget it. It's history. Forget it. What you had to be mechadish. Now, we don't forget the Torah's Bavel. We sit and learn Talmud Bavli all day because that helps us understand. But to understand what halacha kibasrai, we paskin like the Mishnah Berurah, not like Abaya. It's so fascinating that, and if there would be another pasuk, whoever that might be, or Moshe Feinstein, whoever it is, that's b'yamim ha'ela, we paskin like him, but not like the Nefesh Hachaim. There's certain things that go forward. So as much as one's supposed to say, when are my maisim going to come to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? When it comes to what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do, it's all only post Matan Torah is a new tekufa, and you can't move from that tekufa. Oh, sorry, what do you want to give it a try?
Something's troubling me about the Mishnahs and the Tanai. Mishnah's Torah, but we don't call it Torah, we call it Mishnah.
It's only
that was at the time of the Torah, but yet it was all brought out by the Tanaim.
I don't know what you're asking, but I'll answer you anyway. I don't. the Mishnah is nothing more than an explanation of what Moshe Rabbeinu heard at Har Sinai. That's all. It's if somebody right. What we need to be machalik here is this is what I think. What we need to be machalik. What we need to be machalik is between Torah and Nevuah, or Torah and Chachma, and Torah and Gadlus, and Torah and all kinds of things. That's what I'm saying. Moshe Rabbeinu himself had this chiluk. The Yud Aleph Mizmorim that were in Sefer Tehillim, that was not Torah, that was Nevuah. Torah means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Omer Moshe Omer V'Koiseh. This is what I'm bringing you. Moshe Rabbeinu, I think Chazal say, I can't put my finger where, that during the 38 years in the Midbar, that we don't know anything about, right? We don't know anything from the time of the Meraglim all the way till the time of the last year there when we came to Arvos Moav. Does anybody know anything? We don't know anything. But apparently there were many nevuahs that Moshe Rabbeinu had on the oil moed. They didn't necessarily write it down. There were nevuahs. I don't know if anybody talked to him even the whole time. It's mashma from the midrashim. Nobody even spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu. So the whole time, 38 years, he was
Yes, right.
He was alone.
Yes, right.
Yisro spoke to him. Okay, one time.
I thought the whole Seder of teaching the Torah, Moshe taught and Aaron taught and the sons taught.
When?
during those years of
During the time of the Mishkan, the beginning of the Mishkan.
It takes
How do you know it
time.
was for 40 years?
It takes time, yeah.
How long? How long?
40 years.
I don't know.
Person,
I don't think so. I think you're making it up. I don't think it says it anywhere. I don't think it says anywhere. The last year, Eila Dvar Moshe Diber Moshe B'nai Yisrael. This was the last year before he died. He went over the whole Torah. At the beginning, he received the Torah and he explained it to Yoshua, and Yoshua was Canaan. You know, they spoke it out to everybody. 38 years of silence. But I'm saying during those 38 years, Moshe Rabbeinu was talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was talking to him, and Tefillon LaMoshe Ish Elokim. But he wasn't in the world of Asiyah. So what's important to understand is that there's a lot of different things. There's Nevuah, there's Chachma, but there's Torah, and Torah is Torah. So he's saying when it comes to Torah, says Nefesh Hachaim, when it comes to Torah, there's nothing negotiable about this. This is Torah. Not only because, but I want to get to Rabbi Yitzchak's point in a second, I forget. Not only because it's just a great book. You know, like there's nothing that's not out of the Torah. Like a Mila Delay, Ramisa, or Baraisa. Not only because of that, but because that was the right, that was Torah.
Prescription. That was it.
It was the right thing for the rest of the time, until the Gula and then probably after, for the most part.
I think Saint Moshe wasn't teaching in those years. I mean, they had all the laws of Tumah and Tahara and Pesach and
What?
Milah and Ma'od. I mean, they were.
They knew it.
How do they know?
Perhaps you can say it that way around. There are
He
very
taught
rare
at the beginning.
instances.
He taught at the beginning.
And that was it. But
You say the other way around.
They were there.
But also Slovcha. How many times do you see a conversation? So there
Here
it
and
is.
there.
There's one. There's
Here
one
and there.
they call it out.
Exactly. Here and there. It's the story of Korach. There's a couple of stories. You don't know exactly when they were. Probably in the last year. So, you know, when they were coming into Israel, everyone got activated again. Like everyone's getting excited over here in the building. Yes, okay, you know, everyone gets active, you know, like everyone's, excited. Lazet Saima Torah, this is the siyum of the Torah. Let's just read a little bit inside. Lazet Saima Torah, like Kam Navi Kemoshe. Simu Torah, this is also key words. Simu HaTorah, the Torah is over. Meaning, there's no New Testaments, there's no addendums, there's no additions. Even if Moshe Rabbeinu himself would say it, Siyama HaTorah. There was a Siyama HaTorah. Chazak, v'nis chazak. We go back to Bereshis. Nobody's going now into the Sefer Yoshua. That's how you do. Go back to Bereshis. Like that. So that's the Siyum HaTorah. And what is the Siyum HaTorah? Like come, what's the last words? Like come Navi Kemoshe. That's it. There's not gonna, don't think about, okay, what's the next big thing? You know, what comes after Moshe? There is no after Moshe. Not for Torah. There might be great Nevi'im. There might be great Chachamim. There might be great Gedolim. But there's not going to be another Moshe. This is the Siyum HaTorah. This is the Siyum HaTorah. And very important. Moshe Lamdu Chazal Eile HaMitzvahs. From that pasuk, Eile HaMitzvah She'ein Navi Rashay L'chadesh Davar Me'ata. From this moment on of Har Sinai, including the time of the Gemara, including the time of the Mishnah Doran, Ein Navi Rashay L'Chadish Davar Me'ata. Yirmiyahu, Yeshayahu, the greatest Nevi'im, they'll come and they'll say something. No, can't. Unacceptable. No chidushim, right? Or divrei nevuah. They can say things. There's a lot to talk about here. They can say things l'hai rasha. Nevi'im can say things l'hai rasha. That a Navi can do if he's a legitimate Navi. But you can't change the. See, this is the Musar that Chizkiyahu HaMelech gave to Yeshayahu HaNavi. Yeshayahu gave to Chizkiyahu HaNavi, rather. Because Chizkiyahu said, like, I understand the Tam and the Siba for Buravu, to make the world a better place and to populate the world, but I'm going to have a son Menashe HaMelech who's going to destroy people and kill people. I'm not having any children, right? No, didn't we hear people even in the Holocaust say that? I'm not having any children. And Yeshayahu gave a musar. He says, there's a mitzvah. You can't change what Moshe Rabbeinu said. The Torah says, Puravu. So there's so much there in that little conversation that we know about between Yeshayahu and Chizkiyahu. The Torah says, Puravu. What do you have a new? You have a new thing? It's Mistavra. Who's going to argue with that? Does anybody want a Menashe in this world? Somebody, God forbid, sees I'm giving birth to Hitler. To somebody, what's the shoot yourself? Do the world a favor. But the pshat is the Torah says puravu. So it's not just like we need to be like tunnel vision. Torah says puravu. I'm just going to do that. By the mifkadis alecha lamalis. This that you were commanded in. This is what we have to do. We are soldiers. You're not in the war room here. You're not making cheshbonos, because in the world that we're living, Torah is the right thing.
So when the Tanaim bring out a Kabbalah the Moshe Sinai that wasn't kept until that time, they were doing it with the Torah like a Nevuah. They were revealing what was in the Torah that we forgot.
Yes. Halacha Moshe Sinai means this was always there from the time of Moshe, not before. And for some reason, the Gilui happens now. So that's something Nevi'im could do, something Chazal could do. But again, you see how careful they were to say halacha l'Moshe Sinai, not saying, we got a new halacha. And they're very makpid on this. The whole Tanur Shalach Hanoi was being very makpid on this. They had all kinds of simanim that the halacha was a certain way.
So when they say don't blow the shofar when it falls on Shabbos, it goes against.
Okay, there's Durabanan said different things. Sometimes they said Gzeiros, sometimes they made up tikkunim. But when they say something is halacha l'Moshe Sinai, they mean that Moshe Rabbeinu heard this. Halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So let's just finish paragraph. Sheinavar Rashay L'Chadish Davar Atik Moshe Samcha Teres Kol Hadavar Asher Anoich Mitzaveh Loi Soisif Olav Loi Sigur Mimeno Shigam Ki Yakum Bekir B'Chan Navi. And if Bekir B'Cha comes a Navi V'Goymer V'Shabroitz Aloymer L'Hoisif V'Ligroya Chas V'Shalom Loi Sishma El Divrei Hanavi Hahu, as compelling as it might be, and as compelling as it might be, miracles and oisais and mifsim, and this guy is like, wow, you're not allowed to listen to him. Why? Because he's arguing with the Torah. Again, this is the basic hashkafa of Judaism. That's what it means to me. When I say Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov weren't Jews, they weren't in this place. They weren't in this place. Maybe they wish they were, but they weren't in this place. They were in a different place. They were building the the foundations of Klal Yisrael. It's a different story. We're in this place. We know we're continuing to be in this place. There's Netzach, Torah is Netzach, and this is how we operate as Jews, period. Anybody who operates differently is putting themselves in a place, first of all, you're probably wrong, but besides for that, who has that kind of nevuah anyway? Certainly not Mendelssohn. But the point is, even if you do know something, if you see somebody, look, what the tachlis is, we got to get into it deeper. But if you see somebody who's doing something wrong, they're doing something wrong. That's all. Refrek mishkan kashas on the tzaddik. I ask, like, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Like, does somebody have a license? Does anybody have a license to go against the Torah? The answer is no. So this was the fear of the Vilna Gaon and Ruchaim Volozhin, and when they started saying, I don't care if they're Litvaks or Hasidim, or if they wear a stripe, they don't wear a stripe. I don't think this was it's for the plain people. But from their point of view, and I'm not saying that they do this nowadays, but from their point of view, if anybody's playing around with the circuitry here of the Gilui of Torah, so then it's already something different. It's a different religion. It's already a different religion. We have such religions that are very close to Judaism. There are such things, but it's not Judaism. So we're Jews. Okay. So what's the big message of this whole paragraph? That we're Jews. We don't understand what we are. We're Jews. We're not avos. There's no Tchias HaMesim yet. I don't know what's going to be then, but. Well, right now it's the Rambam and Gemara and Chazal and Chumash that are being mefarish. What are all those Nevi'im doing there? They're to be, says the Gemara Megillah Yud Aleph, they're to be machzir us b'tshuva. That's the purpose of the Nevi'im, and to tell us, to give us chizuk about the Yemais HaMashiach. But they're not coming. Ein Navi Rashay L'Chadish. They're not machadish anything. When Yeshua says "Shchatetem bozeh," the Gemara says a chulav. He pulled out a knife and he says, "This is the way you have to shech. The knife has to be very, very sharp when you shech." So everybody would cry, "Wow, where'd you get that from?" Yeshua. He stopped the sun. But you can stop the sun, but you can't make up a halacha. So rightly he said, "Look, this is kibalti." I heard the Moshe Rabbeinu heard this in our seat. I don't get so nervous about this. And then we had Shchizas Hasakin. Sharpening the knife. That's where it came from. Nobody allowed anything into this tight, because Sima HaTorah, the last pasuk in the Torah is like Kam Navi B'Yisrael G'Mashayid. Lazeh Sima HaTorah. Canonized. Finished. The tell you a good political story before we go. That at one time, when I was the Yeshiva Bacher, so they, yesterday we read in the Haftarah Sefer Avadya. So the Haftarah, the Parak Aleph of Sefer Avadya, and that's the whole Sefer Avadya. There is nothing left. Avadya himself was a ger who was miyachas himself to Esav, and he had a nevuah that he should change and he should go cross over to Yaakov, and he spoke about Esav. That's why we read it at Parshas Vayishlach Sefer Avadya. But it's just one page in the Tanakh. But, so he was the chief rabbi, and Rabbi Goren was the chief rabbi, and Rabbi Ovadia Yosef was the chief rabbi. He was a Sephardi chief rabbi. He was the Ashkenazi chief rabbi. Rabbi Goren, who was during the 6-Day War, right? He was chief. Rabbi Goren and Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, and they didn't get along. They didn't get along. Very different types of people and different approaches. They didn't. Those two chief rabbis, Yadua, didn't get along. There used to be a radio show every Friday of Seilah Harav, where the chief rabbi would speak one week this one week the next one. I used to listen to it every week. Or whatever one said the first week, the next one was arguing with that person. No, what he said is wrong. That's right. But so that was the matzah of Eretz Yisrael at that time. But Rav Goren, they say, he was a poet, so he wrote many pieces of beautiful poetry. It's beautiful. And so he said he thought that his poetry should be part of the Tanakh. So they told him that Tanakh, the Gemara says there's only Mem Ches Nevi'im and Zayin Nevi'os, and how can you can't just add another Navi to the Tanakh. So he says, well, just get rid of Avadya. All right, story for the day.